two of the woman's former lovers. With us from Boston now, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Nathan, and in Davie, Florida, former prosecutor Ken Padowitz. Good to see you both.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Ken, ordering former lovers to come up and find out if that's their DNA they found in her. I mean, this thing's getting graphic.
Oh, it's getting very graphic, Shepard. I mean, basically, this comes down to timing. It's like the old fingerprint defense. You know, they say, oh, the fingerprint was found, but there's no way that an expert can put a timing on a fingerprint. And it's the same thing with DNA. The fact that there was DNA found in this woman doesn't necessarily mean that the timing that the defense wants to portray, that she had sex after the alleged rape with someone else, that in fact is true. It may very well be that DNA, if there was some found in the alleged victim, was from consensual sex days before the alleged rape by Kobe Bryant. So this is a timing issue, and you know the defense is doing everything they can to adequately represent their client, but the prosecution, I believe, is going to be able to show through an expert that this is just mud being flung onto a wall.
And Jeffrey, if that's the case, if there's no way to determine what the timing was, in essence, whether they had sex after the alleged rape or before it, isn't it probable that the judge won't let any of this mess in there?
I hope the judge does, because let's face it here, this is a woman who's allegedly volunteered herself routinely to men, and in order that we don't convict the innocent, it's incumbent upon the court to let the jury hear all of the evidence in the case, not just part of the evidence, because the reason that we have innocent men serving 20, 30 years in jail for crimes they didn't commit is because the court, the judge presiding over the evidence, refused to allow what's called exculpatory evidence into the trial. So to preclude a wrongful prosecution, all of the evidence should come in, and that's what I hope happens in this particular
evidence
case.
Including Ken Padowitz's text messaging, because the name of this boyfriend, she had an ex-boyfriend or a boyfriend named Matt Hare, and apparently they did some text messaging, and they're hoping to bring this grouping of evidence together and say, here's when they text messaged, here's when it looks like they might have gotten together, and here's how we think this whole thing went down. If they have all of that coming together, why would you not allow it if it does indicate timing?
Well, the judge should absolutely allow the discovery process to unfold, meaning that the defense should be able to put their hands on anything they think is important. Just because they think it's important in the discovery stage doesn't necessarily mean that that evidence is going to be admissible at trial. So that's going to be another whole ballgame for the judge to decide as to whether or not these text messages are relevant evidence to be admissible at trial. The bottom line is it has to be relevant. And just because this person is accused of a crime, that doesn't mean they're actually guilty of it. But on the other hand, we have a victim, an alleged victim here, who's very brave, who's coming forward, and against many, many people who are on support of Kobe Bryant, the star, she's pointing a finger and saying, hey, he raped me, it wasn't consensual. And that's why we're having a trial here.
And Jeffrey, of course, the other side could argue she didn't show up to the hospital for 15 hours, and what happened in between there, if it was sex, that might raise some questions.
Well, there are issues in this case involving the fresh complaint allegations, they're called, so to speak. It's common for victims, however, to wait until they report this crime. I think the defense is going to make hay with this, however, and will do it successfully, in my opinion.
Ken and Jeffrey, thank you both. Cavuto's coming up. Stay tuned.